So Portland is still at war, essentially, against the federal government. Take a look at what they're doing over here. They got this bicycle guy. What did he do wrong? Streets closed. Get the hell out of here. Federal agents all over the place.
What are you doing?
Snatching people off the street.
What are you doing?
Why are they coming for this girl? That's the question.
Use your words. What are you doing?
Use your words.
Use your words.
What does that mean? NLG will
What is
get
going
you
on?
out.
Who are you? NLG will get you out. What's your
NLG
name?
will get
Tell us
you-
your name. Okay,
They're
you're
not
fine,
getting.
we'll get you out.
They're not getting NLG out. That was a lie. This guy's the man right here. He's standing there like a fucking true champion. He's gonna take a beating. Watch him. Bang, bang, bang in his legs. Maced him in his face. Then he's off. So listen, there's two sides to this story, okay? One side is that, you know, you want to have these people out there to draw a line in the sand from, federal incursions on freedom, right? They're going to tell you what you can't do, what you can't do. They're going to kneel on someone's neck. They're going to do this. They got to understand that there's going to be people out there ready to burn the whole fucking system down if they do that. And you want those people on the front lines because once authority knows that there's room for even more authority, it grabs it. And they're drawing a line in the sand there. On the other hand, you got these kids that are, living in a beautiful storybook town, and they're taking up a banister for Black Lives Matter and Antifa and this and that simply because, well, for some for good reasons, for others because they want to riot and loot and go crazy. I don't know why it happened to be Portland where they're fucking doing all this nonstop. But in my heart of hearts, I'm happy that there's somebody out there to hold the line because you can't. The country has systematic problems, whether it's racism or it's accumulation of wealth at the top, leaving the people at the bottom, high and dry. Someone's got to be ready to tear that system down, and not particularly to tear it down, but to show that you better do something before this gets out of control. So for that, I give them big props. But on the other hand, these fucking kids chilling out there, burning shit down. If you have a business, if I had a jewelry store in Portland, I wouldn't want to be dealing with this shit. So there's two sides of the story, but let's throw it to Vlad to see what he thinks.
Well, I think I think the government is a little bit abusive, in my opinion. I think they're using excessive force to combat peaceful protest, I guess. I mean, one could argue, is it really peaceful? And one could also say that maybe they're doing this to kind of maybe create a balance between the protesters and the government. But at the end of the day, I feel like it's a little bit too excessive. The government, yes, they're protecting the citizens, they're protecting our rights, but also they need to be a little bit more careful, I think. And I don't think it's the right message to put out there. That's my opinion.
The federal troops.
So, two things, 2 points. I saw a graph yesterday that showed the wealth by generation, and millennials own a tiniest fraction of what baby boomers and the silent generation own. So there's a righteous anger right now going on, and whether George Floyd's murder accelerated that anger, we can't say, but at the same time, millennials have been screwed over for so long. They've been told to take those expensive degrees, and then the government made student loans non-dischargeable, and they have no assets, and millennials are no longer young. They enter their 30s with no assets whatsoever, with no money, owning tiny fraction of what their parents own. So there's a righteous anger that I feel, but at the same time, I also think that for me, social cohesion is very important. I think the society tend to fall apart very easily, and we tend to dismiss that. But like if you look at Balkan region and stuff, you see that when the violence erupts, there is also, first of all, the response could be normal citizens embracing fascism, or the country splitting apart. So I do think there should have been a response by the police. I think the police shouldn't have been told to stand down. The federal troops is, for me, a little crazy. I think they shouldn't have been there in the first place. It's kind of fascist, and I don't use that word lightly.
Yeah, I think that the federal troops, I mean, it's too much. They're taking these people into unmarked vehicles and to unknown locations, and I think that everyone has the right to protest and voice their opinions. In regards to looting, I mean, I think that it just accounts for a small percentage of this whole situation. From a I'm not a business owner, but from a business owner's perspective, I can understand them being concerned about their business. But I just don't think that this is the right way to go about it. I mean, just taking people, you know, we saw in the video some guy being on his bike and just snatching him and putting him into a van. I just think that's ridiculous. I mean, there's another way to go about it. And even like with the mayor of Portland, I mean, he was trying to, you know, stand at a podium, have a conversation, support the protesters and the cause they're trying to advocate for. And what do? They decide to just gas him, and I think it's just crazy. You know, to just do that to him. But yeah, I think that's totally wrong.
Right.
Yeah, I think what's happening in Portland is an absolute overreach by the federal agents or whoever put them up to this. You know, whether it's peaceful protesting or rioting and looting, why is it happening in Portland? You mentioned that question earlier. Why Portland? I do have an idea as to the answer to that question, and I think it has to do with Antifa. I feel like there's a very large Antifa presence in Portland, Oregon, and that could have something to do with it, and the government and these federal agents may have knowledge about that as maybe HQ for Antifa somewhere there. But I mean, beating that guy with the stick, he was just standing there, he was spraying him with pepper spray. What did he do wrong? Where are they taking these people? You would have told me 5 years ago that America would be a certain state in America would have being a police state like this, you know, and no one would believe you. So it's just it's very sad what's happening in Portland. And all we could do is hope things change. This is a violation of the constitutional rights, peaceful protests. Obviously, some are peaceful, some are not, but we see the reaction, and it's unfortunate.
So, communist, Antifa supremacist Boris, what are your thoughts?
Yes, your local Antifa
I
representative
wish
right
I had
here.
a mace can to spray him while he's answering the question. Just
Well, I might be in support of Antifa, but I'm gonna take a very interesting Republican states' rights approach that, you know, we've been talking about here. You know, the officials in Portland literally told the federal government, we don't want these people, these officers in our city. So the local officials said, we don't want them. And then I don't know who made the directive, whether probably it was Donald Trump, said, you know, send them in there. And these people who came in, they don't have names on their badges. They're wearing outfits that are not marked. And you know, and it's like I'm half Jewish. Like, this is like the Gestapo coming into town, like taking you away in an unmarked van. This is ridiculous. But it seems pretty appropriate considering Donald Trump's our president. You know, it seems like this is what would happen in the Trump presidency, and it's playing out. So that's what I have.
They gave him time, man, but the kids just didn't want to go home. They wanted to keep burning federal property, this and that, and they got to defend that too. They can't just let somebody burn down a federal court, and you know, and then spread that message that this is what you could do around this country, and then we're going to have a bigger problem than what we have. So listen, there's two sides to the